The suitcase was already waiting by the door before the Korean CEO said a single word. When Kim Joon-woo finally looked at the African maid who had served his family for years, his voice was cold. "You're fired." But something wasn't right. She didn't cry. She didn't argue. She didn't even look surprised. Instead, she smiled. A small smile. The kind of smile someone gives when a story they've been carrying for years is finally coming to an end. What Joon-woo didn't know was that hidden inside that suitcase was a secret connected to his dead grandfather. A secret that could destroy his family, shake his company, and reveal a truth neither of them had fully understood. And by the time he discovered it, she might already be gone forever. Before we uncover the secret that changed both of their lives, don't forget to like, comment, and share this video. Your support helps bring more powerful stories like this to life. And now, let's begin. The suitcase was already sitting by the door. Not half-packed. Not open. Not waiting. Ready. Kim Joon-woo stared at it for a moment before looking back at the woman standing beside it. "You're fired." The words cut through the silence of the penthouse like broken glass. Yet Naledi Nkosi didn't cry. She didn't beg. She didn't even look surprised. Instead, a faint smile touched the corner of her lips, a smile so small it almost disappeared before it arrived. And somehow that smile disturbed him more than tears ever could. Outside, rain slid down the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seoul's glowing skyline. The city looked distant. Muted. Like something happening to someone else. Joon-woo folded his arms. "You heard me." "Yes, sir." Only that. No argument. No anger. No questions. His jaw tightened. Why was she acting as though she had expected this? His eyes drifted toward the suitcase again. Something cold moved through his chest. The bag had been packed before he entered the room. Before he spoke. Before the accusation. Before the decision. As if she already knew. As if she had been waiting for this exact moment. Naledi picked up the handle. Her movements were calm. Careful. Almost ceremonial. The same way she folded clothes. The same way she arranged breakfast. The same way she had lived inside his home for nearly 3 years, without ever truly becoming part of it. "Goodbye, sir." "Sir." "Always, sir." Never Joon-woo. Never Mr. Kim. Never anything else. Just a distance carefully maintained. A line never crossed. And yet as she walked toward the door, he felt something irrational. Something unexpected. Regret. The door closed. The penthouse became silent. Too silent. Hours later, long after midnight, Joon-woo found himself standing in the empty kitchen. The teacup she always used was still drying beside the sink. For some reason, he couldn't stop staring at it. Then he noticed something. A folded piece of paper trapped beneath the edge of a serving tray. Not a letter. Not a goodbye note. Just a small scrap. On it was a date. Nothing else. A date from 7 years ago. The same year his grandfather died. Joon-woo frowned. Why would Naledi leave that behind? And why did the sight of it make his stomach tighten? He didn't know it yet, but the answer had been hiding inside his own house for years. And he had just sent it away. People often assumed Naledi was quiet because she was weak. They were wrong. Silence required strength. Especially when you were carrying a secret. Especially when the secret belonged to someone else. Long before Seoul. Long before the penthouse. Long before Kim Joon-woo. There had been a small town in South Africa. A modest house. A mother who worked until exhaustion. A father who believed dignity mattered more than wealth. Naledi had learned early that promises were sacred. Even when they hurt. Years ago, an opportunity arrived through unexpected channels. A Korean businessman. A respected elder. A man named Kim Song-ho. Joon-woo's grandfather. He had funded educational programs abroad. Supported struggling families. Helped communities most people ignored. Naledi's family had known him through charity connections. When circumstances became difficult, the old man arranged for Naledi to work in Korea. A safe position. A respectable salary. A chance to build a future. At least, That was what everyone believed. When she arrived in Seoul, the old patriarch was already ill. But sharp. Very sharp. She remembered one conversation. One she never forgot. Some promises only make sense after time passes. She hadn't understood then. Years later, she still wasn't sure she fully did. Back in the present, Naledi sat inside a modest guest room across the city. Her suitcase rested on the floor. Inside the lining of an old coat was something she had protected for years. A sealed envelope. Red stamp intact. Both names written on the front. Kim Joon-woo. Naledi Nkosi. She touched it. Then withdrew her hand. Not yet. Not yet. Meanwhile, across Seoul, Joon-woo stood before a portrait of his grandfather. The old man's painted eyes seemed almost alive. Watching. Judging. Waiting. And for the first time in years, Joon-woo asked himself a question he had never considered. Who was Naledi before she entered his life? And why did his grandfather seem connected to every answer? The Kim family empire had been built on discipline. Sacrifice. Control. Family came first. Reputation came first. Legacy came first. Feelings came later, if at all. Joon-woo's mother reminded him of that constantly. Especially now. Especially after Naledi's departure. You need stability. Translation. You need a wife. A Korean wife. A suitable wife. A wife whose family name could strengthen business alliances. At a charity gala 2 nights later, she introduced him to the daughter of another corporate family. Elegant. Educated. Perfect. And completely uninteresting. Yet he smiled, because refusing publicly would create problems. Family hierarchy demanded obedience. At least on the surface. That night, returning home, he noticed something strange. A framed photograph hanging near the study. His grandfather stood beside several people. Most were familiar. One wasn't. A young African woman. He had seen the photograph for years and never questioned it. Now he couldn't stop looking. Who was she? Why had his grandfather kept the picture displayed? And why did she resemble Naledi? Not identical. But enough. Enough to plant doubt. Enough to keep him awake. Then another memory surfaced. His grandfather's final days. A hospital room. Weak breathing. A trembling voice. Protect what belongs to the family. At the time, Joon-woo assumed he meant the corporation. Now he wasn't so sure, because suddenly it felt like the old man had been talking about something else. Something hidden. Something alive. Something Joon-woo still hadn't found. Years earlier, only months after the grandfather's funeral, Naledi had been cleaning a rarely used room. Dust floated through afternoon sunlight. The house felt abandoned. Grieving. While moving a storage box, she discovered a hidden compartment. Inside sat several legal files. Most were ordinary. Then she saw her own name. Her heart stopped. At first she assumed it was employment paperwork. Instead, she found documents she barely understood. Legal registrations. Official seals. Government records. 2 names linked together. Kim Joon-woo. Naledi Nkosi. Marriage. Registered. Recognized. Valid. She spent weeks convincing herself she had misunderstood. Months searching for explanations. Eventually she found them. The grandfather's handwritten notes. Corporate threats. Inheritance disputes. Relatives positioning themselves to seize control. Contingency plans. Protective arrangements. One line remained burned into her memory. Only a legally protected heir can secure the future. She wanted to tell Joon-woo. Many times. But every opportunity collapsed. Fear. Confusion. Timing. And the knowledge that revealing it could destroy everything. So she waited. And waiting became years. Now, sitting alone in her room after being fired, she opened the envelope again. The certificate remained inside. Untouched. A marriage that existed. A husband who didn't know. A life built on silence. Her phone vibrated. A message appeared. Unknown number. 3 words. He knows something. Naledi's blood turned cold. Who sent it? And how much did they know? Curiosity became obsession. Joon-woo began searching through archived company records, old correspondence, estate files, grandfather's private notes. What he found only created more confusion. Payments connected to Naledi's family, travel arrangements, education support, housing agreements. Every trail led back to the old man. Joon-woo made his first mistake. He assumed Naledi had manipulated his grandfather. The thought angered him. It fit too neatly, too conveniently. Then evidence appeared contradicting it. Letters written by the grandfather himself. Protective, affectionate, almost paternal. His second mistake came days later. He assumed Naledi knew nothing. That she was merely a beneficiary. A passive participant. Again, he was wrong. Meanwhile, someone else was watching. A distant relative. One who had lost influence after the grandfather's death. One who would benefit if scandal reached the public. Family secrets had value. And some people preferred selling them. Late one evening, Joon-woo discovered a locked drawer in his office. A drawer he had never opened. His grandfather's old key fit perfectly. Inside lay a single file. And a photograph. Naledi, standing beside his grandfather, holding a document, looking frightened. The image had been taken 7 years earlier. The same year listed on the paper she left behind. Joon-woo stared. A terrible question entered his mind. What exactly had his grandfather been hiding? Secrets rarely stay buried. Especially inside wealthy families. Rumors began spreading. Questions followed. Then pressure. His mother appeared unexpectedly. Concerned. Polite. Dangerous. You seem distracted. I'm fine. You dismissed that maid. A pause. Then, good. The word landed heavily. Too heavily. Something about it bothered him, as if she had been waiting for Naledi to disappear. Later, he discovered she had known more than she admitted. Not everything. But enough. Enough to fear the truth. Enough to avoid discussing the grandfather's final decisions. Meanwhile, Naledi received a call from South Africa. Her mother. Proud of her. Trusting her. Believing she was building a stable future. The conversation shattered Naledi's composure, because the truth would either bring honor or humiliation. Nothing in between. That night she booked a flight home. One way. No return date. No plan. Just escape. But before she could leave, a package arrived. No sender. Inside was a copy of the marriage registration. And a note. He deserves the truth. For the first time in years, Naledi cried. Not because she was afraid. Because she knew the waiting was over. Rain hammered Seoul. The city disappeared behind grey curtains. Joon-woo found Naledi at a small cafe near the river. For several seconds neither spoke. Years of silence sat between them. Finally he said, "What were you hiding?" The question came harsher than intended. Naledi looked away, because the answer could change both their lives. You wouldn't understand. Try me. She almost told him. Almost. But fear won. Again. Another missed chance. Another mistake. Another wound. Joon-woo interpreted her hesitation as guilt. Anger exploded. You lied to me. No. Then tell me the truth. Tears gathered in her eyes. Not falling. Just waiting. Like everything else. The truth isn't only mine. Then she stood and left. Joon-woo remained frozen. Frustrated. Confused. Certain he was missing something enormous. Hours later, a courier delivered a package to his office. No sender. No explanation. Inside was the document. The real document. The one hidden for years. And when Joon-woo opened it, his entire world changed. Rain struck the windows. Lightning flashed beyond Seoul's skyline. The office felt smaller with every page he turned. Marriage registration. Government authentication. Legal recognition. Kim Joon-woo. Naledi Nkosi. Husband. Wife. His hands trembled. Not from disbelief. From realization. Every clue returned. The suitcase packed before the firing. The distance she maintained. The photograph. The envelope. The date. The grandfather's dying words. The hidden drawer. Everything aligned. Everything. Then he found the final letter. His grandfather's letter, written shortly before death. The old man's reasoning unfolded page by page. Corporate rivals. Inheritance threats. Manipulation by distant relatives. The need for legal protection. The arrangement had begun as strategy, but somewhere along the way, the grandfather had come to trust Naledi completely. More than many blood relatives. And before he could explain everything, he died. Leaving confusion behind. Leaving silence behind. Leaving two young people trapped inside a decision neither fully understood. Joon-woo lowered the letter. For years she had carried his name. Protected his inheritance. Protected his reputation. Protected him. And he had fired her. The memory hit like a physical blow. You're fired. Her faint smile. Now he understood. She wasn't smiling because she didn't care. She was smiling because she already knew the story was ending. Or thought it was. For the first time in years, Kim Joon-woo cried. Alone. In the office his grandfather built. Beneath the portrait of the man who had changed everything. The days that followed felt unreal. Joon-woo stopped attending social events. Ignored business dinners. Cancelled meetings. For the first time, the corporation became secondary, because numbers were easier than people. Always had been. Now he had to face people. And himself. He replayed every interaction. Every breakfast. Every quiet conversation. Every moment she stood beside him while carrying a burden he never noticed. He remembered winter mornings when she left food outside his office because she knew he skipped meals. He remembered nights she waited until the lights turned off before going to sleep. He remembered the loneliness in her eyes, and how often he ignored it. Meanwhile Naledi packed her final belongings. Among them sat a wedding ring. Simple. Unworn. Wrapped carefully in cloth. Buried beneath clothing. Hidden like the marriage itself. She held it for a long time. Then placed it back inside the bag. Outside, airplanes crossed the sky. Some arrivals. Some departures. Some endings disguised as beginnings. When Joon-woo learned she had booked a flight, panic replaced hesitation. He left immediately. No assistants. No drivers. No security team. Just him. For once. Not as CEO. As a man trying to catch a truth before it disappeared forever. The airport was crowded. Voices echoed. Announcements drifted through the terminal. People rushed toward destinations, toward reunions, toward farewells, toward lives waiting elsewhere. Joon-woo moved through the crowd searching. Then he saw her. Naledi stood near the departure gate. One suitcase. One carry-on bag. And years of unspoken history between them. She looked smaller than he remembered. Not weaker. Just farther away. As if distance had already begun claiming her. The ring remained hidden inside her luggage. The certificate remained folded among her documents. The secret was no longer a secret. Yet somehow everything felt unfinished. Naledi turned. Their eyes met. For a moment the noise disappeared. No airport. No passengers. No corporation. No inheritance. Just two people standing in the ruins of a story neither chose. Joon-woo took a step forward. Then another. He finally knew everything. He knew she was legally his wife. He knew his grandfather arranged it. He knew she stayed silent to protect him. He knew he had misunderstood her. And he knew the next words would matter more than anything he had ever said. Naledi waited. Not smiling. Not crying. Just waiting. The same way she had waited for years. Joon-woo stopped a few feet away. His mouth opened. And the story ended before the first word could leave it, because some moments belong to possibility, not certainty. Some truths arrive too late. And some people spend years carrying a name they were never allowed to speak. She carried his name in secret for years, and he never once asked who she really was. So I'll ask you the question he never did. If you had known the truth from the beginning, would you have treated her differently? Tell me in the comments. And if this story moved you, like, share, and subscribe. Because the next story is even harder to believe. And somewhere between what was lost and what might still be found, two lives stood facing each other, separated not by distance, but by all the words that had arrived years too late. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to this channel and share the video as well. See you in the next video.